we love to be practical on the show and try to meet people where they are. So
Mm-hmm.
do you think from your perspective that there's anything that can be done for
Yeah.
somebody that's single right now, maybe they're dating? What's something that they can be doing? Because the truth is we all have long suffering that we are doing in every
Mhm.
season. So
Yeah.
how would you suggest or encourage somebody to work that muscle so that way
Mm-hmm.
when they get to marriage, it's not such a shock
That's
of,
good.
oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I need to be long suffering.
That's so good.
I love this question so much because one, and it's funny, one of my coworkers at Miller Media, who I've stolen this from, she talks about how our friendships really help prepare us for marriage. And I think it's so true that, but not even just friendship, maybe there's a friend, but I would even just say specifically to pray and ask God, what relationship in my life can I use to develop this muscle? And it's probably going to be someone that, irritates you a bit, maybe rubs your, like, you got to almost pray sometimes when you interact with them. Good. That person, somebody's face just came up, and allowing that relationship to grow the muscle. How can you be more patient in their space? How can you resolve conflict in a way that's more calm, where you don't, raise your voice, or where you don't respond in a way that you normally do? And I think if you can allow that relationship to help stretch that muscle, one of the things I would also say is like, once you pray and ask God who that person is and he reveals them, to begin to add them to your prayer list. Because let me tell you something, nothing can soften your heart like praying for someone. Now, being a co-parent, once I got divorced, I didn't eliminate like my ex-husband. I just talked to him, like we have to still constantly engage. And so one of the things that really helped my heart was praying for him. I still do to this day, like, because it was praying for him, but it was also God trusting me. And so he would begin revealing things to me about him as I would be in conversation. I would hear his heart in a different way, and it allowed me to respond in a much more calm way. Even if he just said something completely nasty, I would hear, oh, he's in pain. You know what? And I would pray for that. Like, this is stuff I did after we were divorced because I needed a positive co-parenting relationship. So I think those would be the two things specifically. Like, ask God, what relationship, what friendship, which parent, who can I practice on? Who kind of rubs me in it? And I really need to be more patient with them. And then, like, let me begin praying about them, and watch how God will soften your heart and allow you to become more gracious and more compassionate. And I gotta warn you, as that's happening, you're probably gonna start to see yourself a lot more. As you start to see how much grace you need, then it becomes a lot more easy to say, you know what, let me just give him grace, because you know what, we just all here figuring it out. So that's what I would say to that person.
Wow. I love that so much because I say this all the time. Godly dating and godly marriages starts before you get in a relationship. And I
Hmm.
think you just so clearly highlighted that we should be praying and asking the Lord, hey, what can I be doing now
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
prepare myself for a season I'm not in right now? And I think
Right.
you gave such a practical next step.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in this season are praying and asking God for wisdom for the rest of the year. And I think that's such a great thing to add is,
Yeah.
Lord, who should I be connected to right now that is going to help me prepare for marriage when it comes to long suffering, when it comes to being patient, when it comes to forgiving?
Yeah.
Because honestly, a lot of people, I'm sure, thought about their dad, or they thought about their brother, or they thought about a cousin, or whoever in
Hmm.
their life when you said that. I think
Right.
a lot of people have a clear next step. Now, that being said,
Hmm.
we're saying this, and people are listening like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to
That's
go.
a good word for somebody else.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Not me.
I,
I don't need that.
and the truth is, it's because they don't want to go through pain.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's painful to do that. It's painful to go to somebody and that gets on your nerves and try to pray for them. It's painful.
Yeah.
But what you're saying from your story is that it would be worth it to do that on the front end
Yeah.
Hmm.
than to
Hmm.
go through the pain of not doing that on the back.
Yeah.
And you basically have to choose your heart, right? Because like what you
Yes.
described of your story and co-parenting and how God has been changing your heart
Hmm.
through that relationship. Because I think it's just so easy for culture we just want to cut people off. I'm one of those people where I'm just like, you're too much. Bye. Like I'll get
Hmm.
another friend or like whatever. But
Right.
that's one of the beautiful messing parts of marriage is like you can't just cut somebody off. Like
Right.
you can't run away. You all live together. Everything is intertwined. And like
Mhm.
if you do have a child, that child will be there forever.
Mhm.
And it's not even like, you know, you were trying to run away from one another because y'all have a relationship now because of your son.
Right.
And God has been using that. And I think that people kind of get, you know, like frustrated with that. But I just love that, you know, that you're highlighting and sharing with us just how, you know, we're supposed to change. Like as you're praying for somebody else, like, oh my gosh, I am so guilty of that. Of like, God, change this person, do this for them, do that for them. Get them, God. Or it's like, God will take care of them. And he will. But I feel like when you were speaking, it was just reminding me so much. I feel like this is going to be such a blessing to a lot of the women that watch and listen, is because like a lot of the enemy has messed with my girls so much to think that God is withholding something from them. But the Bible says that God withholds no good thing from those who walk uprightly. And sometimes you think like, oh man, I'm not married and I'm this age. And what about my eggs? And what about, you know, whatever, all these things that are real, but they're not, you know, God is not unaware of them. And he's putting them, you know, somebody said this on podcast a couple of weeks ago, but like God is playing chess and we're playing checkers. And I was convicted of that. Like, I'm so concerned about the next 6 months. And God's like, I'm thinking about the next 10 years. Setting you up, you know, to be successful in that way. But I think you know, there's so many women I know who just cry themselves to sleep and they're constantly questioning like their worth and their identity. And does he even see me? And like all my friends are getting married. And you know, one person we know, she's like, you know, I think she's in her mid-30s and she's like, my friend is on her second marriage and I've never even been, you know, married at all. And you know, even in the Black community, women feeling like, oh well, the ratios are against me, and you know, all these different things that are real, but
the ratio is real. It's definitely a thing.
Right. No,
but God is bigger than the ratio. That's my confession.
Absolutely. But I think you're just reminding us that, you know, God doesn't want to give us anything that's not good for us. And sometimes, you know, we want to go from pre-K to college. And God is like, if you go, you will die. Like, it will not be good for you. Like, and sometimes we beg him so much for things. And he's like, okay, like, you want this more than you want me, if we're being honest. And like, it's going to destroy you. And I think it's just such a good, you know, you're reminding us of that it's like, hey, like, can your heart handle marriage?